Welcome back to the Deep Dig of Sports Pod. I'm your host, D, and today we're digging into the college football playoff matchup between Notre Dame and Penn State. But before we dig into that, be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe, drop some comments below. Let me know your thoughts because realistically, I could see this game going either way. I think it's going to be a very, very good matchup. And I mean, let's just kind of dig into it right off the bat. I think these are two teams in Notre Dame and Penn State that are very evenly matched. I think if you look at them on paper, a lot of these things line up pretty similarly, pretty stout defenses on each side. Both head coaches looking to prove themselves and take that next step forward. And that's like, let's just kind of take a step back there. Like, it's so crazy to think that of the four coaches we have left, it's Marcus Freeman, it's James Franklin, it's Sark, and it's Ryan Day. And of these, one of those is going to get the monkey off their back as far as not being able to win the big game, not winning a national championship. For each of these four coaches, it's going to be a huge weight lifted off of their shoulders. For the other three, a lot of fan bases are going to be pointing to, see, you can't get it done. Like, it's going to be, same old James Franklin, same old Sark, same old Ryan Day. Realistically, if you look around the college football landscape, there was only 3 head coaches that had a national title under their belt. And there is going to, like, I had seen a video where someone was talking about Dan Lanning. Is Dan Lanning ready to take the Oregon Ducks to the next tier of college football? And a lot of people were saying, like, no, I can't see it happening, blah, blah, blah. But, like, realistically, a lot of these guys are going to get their first national championship in the next coming years. I think with NIL, the playoff being expanded to 12 team, the rosters getting smaller in the coming years, I think realistically we are going now. They're discussing there being a 5th year for college athletes, which is crazy. I think this is going to see talent be spread all throughout college football and not just into the Power 4 conferences. Of course, we're going to see those be like head and shoulders above the rest, but realistically there is going to be talent spread throughout, and it is going to be we're going to see a lot of head coaches get their first national title. So it's not crazy to say, yeah, I think Marcus Freeman, or yeah, I think James Franklin is going to win a national title this year. I mean, they're already halfway there. And so with that being said, I think that both of these guys, I could see either one of them just kind of pulling it out. I don't think there's any animosity realistically between these two guys, because I watched that press conference between them. James Franklin was joking about Marcus Freeman's his hairline. He was like, dang, look at how much he has. I wish I envy that. And it's like, I think it's going to be a fun rivalry. I don't think there's going to be like blood boiling over. I think both of these defenses are nasty. I'm very excited to see how each team is going to navigate around these staunch defenses. From the offensive standpoint of Notre Dame, Notre Dame has a couple of running backs that are very, very good. Offensively, I just don't know if Riley Leonard is going to be able to take them over the top. I said this in my last video on Monday, where I just don't know if they are down 1 or 2 scores, how much you're really going to get offensively from Riley Leonard. I mean, even in the Georgia game, he had, I think it was 90 passing yards. That is not going to cut it against Penn State. I mean, realistically, if you look at what Penn State does from their offensive end, I think that they have a guy at quarterback in Drew Aller. I know last year he couldn't beat the big games, but I think this year he's improved a lot offensively. I don't think that they have the receiving core. And I think that Notre Dame, but thank God Notre Dame has like a very good secondary. They can't, but I mean, regardless, they're not going to be able to get open. These guys are just kind of average Joes at the wide receiving core for Penn State. So that kind of negates one of Notre Dame's strong suits, which is going to be their secondary, because I don't think they're really going to utilize their wide receivers as much as like another team would. I don't think that's going to be a negative. If it was a Ohio State versus Notre Dame, you're like, damn, this is a great matchup. Like I think that plays better into what Notre Dame does defensively, because realistically, Ohio State has all those guys that you want to lock down. You want to take away Jeremiah Smith. You do not have a guy that you want to take away in Penn State. So they're going to be a negative anyways. The one guy that they have on Penn State is going to be Tyler Warren, who's the tight end that kind of does everything, jack of all trades, realistically. That is a explosive piece for this Penn State offense, and they get very creative with him. I'm very excited to see how they're going to exploit that matchup and really push it. And like looking at it in the Notre Dame Georgia game, it really was like a couple minute span of game time between the end of the first half and the start of the second half, where they have that the sack strip fumble that turns into points, and then a kickoff return touchdown that turns into points. Other than that, I mean, which those two things like are happening, obviously. Other than those two plays, really, it was going to be a dogfight from there on out. And what do you do when you have to put the ball in Riley Leonard's hands? We just haven't seen that yet because they blew out Indiana, and then they had those two really big plays against Georgia. Can they continue to repeat that? And even if they do kind of get in that mix, I feel much more comfortable with Drew Aller than I do Gunnar Stockton, than I do with Indiana, who just didn't have the horses to run with it. I mean, I feel much better about the Penn State offense. The keys for the win for Notre Dame, on the other hand, I think you continue to pressure Drew Aller. If they can get to the quarterback, I think a lot of the Penn State game is going to be slow developing plays. I don't think that they're going to have too much quick hits. I think that the Notre Dame secondary is too locked down. They can play man too well. I think that Notre Dame, if you get to Drew Aller, you don't let him score first. I think that that's the key to the game, controlling how you move within that. I don't know how offensively how you're going to get back. I just don't see, with the ball in his hand, Riley Leonard getting after it. But I could be wrong. I could be completely full of shit. Who knows? I mean, but 90 yards against Georgia. I do think it's going to be a very, very good game. You could convince me either way if it's Notre Dame or it's Penn State, but my gut says that it's going to be a Penn State win. Let me know in the comments what you think, and be sure to like, be sure to subscribe. I'll see you later.